Once upon a time, spying or espionage was a fairly straightforward game. But we have come a long way rather quickly from Mata Hari. There is something new in the science of spying.
Imagine you are a technician at the CIA in 1961. You have $20 million in secret government money. You have orders to spy on a Soviet building in Washington, D.C. But standard microphones don't work because of all the city noise. You need a better way to hear through the static. You need a spy that guards will never notice. You choose a common house cat. This is the true story of Project Acoustic Kitty. It was 5 years of the government thinking they were smarter than nature. Scientists were cutting open living cats to hide tiny spy radios inside them. They even sewed long antennas into their tails like a weird science experiment. They even tried to rewire the animal's brain to stop it from getting hungry. It was a battle between 1960s electronics.
Surely this is intrusion into privacy.
Yes, you're quite right. This is an intrusion, and a very effective one.
And millions of years of animal instinct. And it ended in a split second on the streets of Washington, D.C. I am the Watchman. Case number 06 is officially open. How do you turn a living animal to a $21 million piece of roadkill? It is the early 1960s, and the Cold War is at a boiling point. Spies at the CIA have a massive problem. Walls are no longer enough to keep a secret. The Soviets were masters of the hidden mic.
I might add that in recent years, the United States has found within its embassies, missions, and residences in the Soviet Union and the satellite countries well over 100 technical clandestine listening devices.
Even hiding a bug inside a wooden seal of the United States for 7 years. The CIA targeted the Soviet compound at 2650 Wisconsin Avenue in Washington, D.C. The building sits on Mount Alto, the third highest point in the capital. From there, the Soviets could intercept every microwave signal from the White House. The CIA desperately needed to hear what was happening inside, but traditional microphones were failing. Urban noise is a chaotic mess of wind, traffic, and birds that creates a wall of static. In the 1960s, a standard bug couldn't tell the difference between a secret and a bus. Then, an operative noticed that guards at high-security meetings ignored local wildlife. Stray cats wandered in and out of the most sensitive rooms as unalerting assets. Nobody checks a cat for a wire. More importantly, a cat is a biological masterpiece of audio engineering. The shape of a cat's ear, the pinna, acts like a natural parabolic dish. It funnels and focuses sound waves directly into the ear canal. A cat can hear a mouse in a field from 30 feet away. The CIA's plan was simple and brutal. If a machine can't filter the noise, use a living creature that can. They decided to hollow out a predator to build a mobile listening post. But they were about to realize that biology does not like being a hardware component. The CIA turned to the Office of Technical Services, known in the agency as the Wizards. They were given $20 million, which is worth over $160 million today.
That is a lot of money.
Their job was to pioneer the art of miniaturization. Remember, this was the era of room-sized computers and bulky transistors. The Wizards had to build a recording studio that could fit inside a pet.
That doesn't sound impossible.
They borrowed technology from hearing aid manufacturers, but it was too fragile for the field. They even tested microphones designed for bullets to ensure the tech could survive a fight. Custom audio builders eventually delivered a radio transmitter only 3/4 of an inch long. On a laboratory desk, the technology was perfect, clean, and predictable. But the Wizards were about to find out that a laboratory desk is not a living creature. The plan moved from the lab to the operating table.
Okay, here goes nothing.
Surgeons selected a gray and white female cat for an hour-long transformation into a machine. First was the microphone, implanted deep inside the cat's ear canal to use its natural shape. Next was the radio transmitter, a tiny device hidden at the base of the skull. Finally, they placed a heavy battery pack inside the cat's chest cavity. Doctors had to create surgical tunnels under the skin to run microscopic wires. They connected the battery to the transmitter through the neck. The goal was to leave no visible scars or lumps, so the cat looked like an ordinary stray. The wizards were proud that the audio equipment functioned without killing the host. But they were missing one critical component: a long-range radio antenna. Concealing an antenna was the hardest part, as a long wire would be obvious. The wizards looked at the cat's tail, which is upright and highly mobile. Surgeons took a length of the fine mesh wire and ran it under the skin of the spine. They wove it through the tail fur to create a living radio tower. This allowed a broadcast range of 300 meters. But the first tests revealed a gross error. The microphones were too sensitive. Instead of human speech, the tapes captured the deafening sound of a heartbeat. Listening posts were flooded with the sound of stomach gurgling. Engineers had to build special filters for biology to drown out the pulse. The electronics were finally ready, but they were ignoring a massive variable. The cat was not interested in the Cold War. She was interested in her next meal. The CIA spent 5 years and $20 million just to get a recording of a heartbeat and stomach gurgling. They were desperate for professional-grade audio, but they tried to build it from the inside out. Most of us don't have a black budget to turn a pet into a microphone, but trying to find high-quality music and sound effects for your own creative projects can feel just as frustrating. You usually end up with cheap-sounding audio or a copyright strike that kills your entire operation. It sucks to spend hours on a video only to have the atmosphere ruined by bad sound design. That's why you need to use Epidemic Sound. Epidemic Sound is a professional audio library with over 40,000 tracks and 90,000 sound effects designed for creators. There's a reason hundreds of thousands of the world's biggest creators, including me, use this platform every single day. It's the industry standard for high-end storytelling. Using them means you can build a clinical, professional atmosphere for your videos without ever worrying about copyright lawyers. You get cinematic quality that instantly makes your work feel like a big-budget production. You get access to every musical genre you can think of and a massive library of high-definition sound effects. My favorite feature is the stems tool, which lets you remove vocals or specific instruments to make the music fit your scene perfectly. So scroll down, click the link below. Cats are solitary predators that do not care about CIA training. During tests, the cat kept leaving the job to find food or groom its fur.
If you own a cat, how well can you really direct a cat to do an espionage operation? Probably not very. And that was the conclusion.
The CIA saw this animal instinct as a hardware bug. They decided to apply a neurological patch by opening the cat up for a second time. They tunneled wires directly into the brain, targeting the hypothalamus. This is the part of the brain that controls hunger. They used electrical shocks to turn off the appetite with a soldering iron. If the cat felt hungry, it got a small zap to force it to focus on the mission. By now, the agency had invested 5 years into this single feline. They finally believed they had a reliable cybernetic asset. They had their cyborg, their target, and they were heading to Wisconsin Avenue for the final test. The year is 1967 at 2650 Wisconsin Avenue. An unmarked CIA van is parked across the street from the Soviet compound. Inside, technicians are tracking the radio signal from a cat's tail. The handlers open the sliding door and the $20 million asset jumps to the pavement. The mission was for the cat to approach two men on a nearby park bench, but the cat ignores her behavioral training and walks into busy traffic. A passing taxi hits her instantly, killing the cat on the spot. 5 years of research ended in a fraction of a second. The handlers were in a total panic, but not because of the cat. They cared about the top secret hardware inside the carcass.
This little camera, it could take up to 100 frames.
If a Soviet agent found the body, the technology would be exposed. One operative ran into the street to scrape the remains off of the asphalt. The mission yielded exactly 0 seconds of intelligence. The file was closed before the taxi engine even cooled down. Bureaucrats at headquarters were busy with damage control. They issued a final report in March 1967 titled Views on Trained Cats. It is a masterpiece of government spin, calling it a remarkable scientific achievement. They claimed it proved cats could be used for intelligence, but admitted it was not practical. Years later, whistleblower Victor Marchetti exposed the truth, calling the creation a monstrosity. Some CIA officials tried to deny the story, claiming the cat actually survived.
Cat again resowned for the second time and lived a long and happy life afterward.
But in my line of work, we follow the evidence, and it points to a $20 million roadkill. We like to think money can buy control over nature, and technology can override instinct. Case number 06 proves that nature doesn't care about your budget. You can wire a brain and weave an antenna, but a cat will always be a cat. Next time, we look at the 19th century and a man who sold a country that didn't exist. I am the Watchman. Stay in the light. Now, someone give me a coffee. This atmosphere is depressing.